Every year, the month of May is an exciting time for us film fans because that is when the prestigious Cannes Film Festival is held in France. And it's a chance for us to hear about some of the films which will make a bigger splash later on in the year when they get a wider release. And it's also when one film is crowned the best film of the year and wins the prestigious Palme d'Or award. For many, the Palme d'Or is the best film award out there, much more than an Oscar. In fact, this year's Cannes jury president, Ruben Östlund, director of Triangle of Sadness and The Square, etc., he said that he would much prefer to win another Palme d'Or than to ever win an Oscar. And if you look back at the history of Palme d'Or winners, there are so many great films. So I went to my shelves and I picked out some of the films that I love, that are favourites of mine, that have won this great film award. So starting off, we're going back to 1976 with Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. Now, this is a film that everyone knows. Most people love this film, find it such a great work of cinema. But back when it won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, it wasn't yet obvious to everyone that this is a great film, because you have to remember that the Cannes Film Festival is pretty much the first time anyone sees these films. So sometimes when you look at the film that they award the Palme d'Or, they really do get it right in terms of how good a film is and the cultural impact that that film has. It's unlikely that I will say anything about this film that hasn't already been said. It's just a great look at loneliness and finding one's way in this life, particularly when you feel lost and without purpose and perhaps angry at what you see in your surroundings. So if you by chance haven't yet seen this, please do check out Taxi Driver. Going forward a few years to 1984, we have Paris, Texas from Wim Wenders, which is a look at America and American life, but from an outsider's perspective, from a European perspective. This was a French-German co-production, but is a very American film. So it's quite unique in its perspective. And that is something that is so alluring about this story and how it is told. The film tells the story of this man who goes missing for many years, leaves behind his wife and his young son, but then he comes back to society and wants to reintegrate and reconnect with the people that he loves in his life. I could spend hours talking about the brilliant people involved in the making of this film. You've got the actors, Harry Dean Stanton in a central performance, Natasha Kinski, Dean Stockwell. You've also got behind the camera Robbie Mueller doing cinematography. You've got Claire Denis as assistant director. You've got Ry Cooder doing the music, and the film is written by Sam Shepard. So many great people involved, and the final product is absolutely amazing. This next one is more recent, 2018's Palme d'Or winner, Shoplifters from Hirokazu Koreeda. This is a very special film to me because this is the only film to have won the Palme d'Or that I got to see before it won the award. That's because 2018 was the year when I got to go to the Cannes Film Festival and watch all of the great films, and I had such a great time. I met some great people there as well, and yeah, it's just one of the most memorable times in my life, and this film will always hold a special place in my heart. If you're unfamiliar with Koreeda, he is one of the masters of cinema today. He makes these brilliant portraits of family life, often families that are not biological, they're more people grouping together and forming their own families, and that's what Shoplifters is about. His films are often very touching, they are very quiet in terms of their pace and their volume, but also the themes that are explored here, particularly around family, like I said, they are something that I think most people will be able to relate to. And this film is a masterpiece, so if you've not seen Shoplifters yet, please do seek it out. Now for a Palme d'Or winner from my own country, we're going back to 1996, Secrets and Lies from Mike Leigh. This is a wonderful film, from the master, Mike Leigh, who has a very particular way of making films with his long rehearsal process, and the scripting process is done between himself and all of the actors. And it gives such a sense of realism, such a sense of depth to all of the characters and the performances in his films. And we find this film, perhaps much like Shoplifters, being about family and identity, and how these things can be flipped upside down through some new revelation. I won't spoil anything about this film, but it is masterful storytelling. And like I said, the realism in this film is something that I think most people will be able to connect with. Next, we go back to the 1970s, 1971 in particular. It's an Italian film. It is Working Class Goes to Heaven from director Elio Petri. This was a recent discovery for me. This is from the brilliant Blu-ray label Radiance Films, who released this in the UK. And it's a wonderful film, a great film about class struggle and mobilization, unionization, and really the failings of modern society and how this really impacts people. It's a film that's grounded in the central performance from Gian Maria Volante, and the direction from Petri is just absolutely impeccable. It's a brilliant film, and it's one that I think went under the radar for a very long time, but is now able to be seen again in beautiful quality on this Blu-ray. We return now to the 90s. 1997, we have Taste of Cherry from Abbas Kiarostami. This was actually one of the years where there was a joint winner. This won alongside The Eel from Shuhei Imamura, which I don't think is on a Blu-ray or isn't readily available, which is a shame. But this film, this is absolutely a masterpiece from Kiarostami, one of my favourite filmmakers. Very famously would blend reality and fiction through his documentary-like way of filming. And here we have a film that on the surface sounds like a very morbid, somber piece of filmmaking. We follow this man who has decided that he wants to end his own life, but due to religious taboos in his culture, in his society, he needs to be buried. So he has to find someone who is willing to bury him after he kills himself. And it is on his journey to finding someone to help him that we learn more about the character, but we also learn more about life itself and ways that we can view our own life. This really is an eye-opening film, and I implore everyone to check this out. It might not sound like your kind of film, but I really do think you can get a lot from watching this one. And now we go to 1977, the Palme d'Or winner, Padre Padrone from the Taviani brothers. Even though this film is the winner of a major film award, I still think not a lot of people talk about this movie. It really does seem to have fallen by the wayside, which is a real shame because this is powerful, powerful filmmaking. Often very difficult to watch. There is some very disturbing stuff in this movie. And while the content may be disturbing at times, I think it is true to life, because this is a film made in the vein of neorealism. The Taviani brothers were very much inspired by Roberto Rossellini's films, particularly Paisa. And interestingly, it was Rossellini who fought for this film to win the Palme d'Or in 1977 because he was president of the jury. The story follows this young boy who is forced to work as a shepherd by his father, who is tyrannical to say the least. And we follow this young boy as he grows up into a man, and we see how he educates himself and he lifts himself out of this situation. There are some brilliant performances in this film. Omero Antonucci as the father is such a despicable character, and it's interesting because he also plays the father in Victor Erice's El Sur, which is quite a different role. And we also see Nanni Moretti in a smaller role in this movie. He's always so charismatic on screen, and he would go on to make many great films after starring in this one. If you want to see this film and the other films from the Taviani brothers, I think you can still get the Arrow Academy box set with these films in. So please do check them out. I hope you enjoyed a quick look at some of my favourite Palme d'Or winners, and I hope it's given you some food for thought in terms of films you can go and check out for yourself. If you enjoyed this video and want more film recommendations, then just click the video that's on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.